Reborn Rich is Song Joong Ki's latest TV series, a fast-paced business melodrama that draws parallels to shows like Succession but with one little fantasy twist. The main character, Yoon Hyun Woo, a loyal and competent worker of the wealthy Sunyang family, dies and is transported into the body of Jin Do-jun, the youngest grandson of the Sunyang family, but in the past. Confused? You're not the only one. Halfway into the show, we're no closer to finding out what really happened in the mysterious accident that the oldest grandson of the Sunyang family, Jin Song-jun, keeps bringing up to his father. Nor do we know who really gave the order to kill Hyun Woo in the present. There are also a lot of other unanswered questions, like why doesn't Hyun Woo remember anything about Do-jun? To solve this puzzle, we must unravel the threads one by one. Before we start, press that like button and hit subscribe for more K-drama thoughts and theories. Let's go! Part 1, Transmigration. We all know what reincarnation is, right? It's when someone dies and is reborn anew. This is the concept that exists in many religions, and the one that most of us are familiar with. But a lesser-known concept is transmigration, where, after death, a soul is transported into the body of an already existing individual, whether in his world or another. In Reborn Rich, Hyun Woo dies, and finds his soul transported into the body of a young, already existing Do-jun, almost 30 years ago. For all we know, this might be another universe altogether, but there are enough clues for us to assume that this is a time loop. 1. Hyun Woo exists in this universe as well. He is mentioned when Do-jun visits his old family, although we never actually see him. 2. Do-jun doesn't recall any memories of himself from the time when he was Hyun Woo. It is common for time loop scenarios to have certain metaphysical laws that stop people with the same soul from crossing paths. For example, in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of the Azkaban, Harry thinks that his father is the one who saves him from the Dementors until he realizes that the mysterious figure he saw earlier was just him saving himself. Part 2, Grandpa Sunyang's death. Now, this is probably the easiest mystery of the show to solve. In the first episode, Grandpa Sunyang is clearly dead. The company has already passed down to his eldest son, Jin Yang-cheol, who is now passing it on to his son, Jin Song-jun. Jin Song-jun is also clearly feeling a lot of guilt and regret about the accident, which he seems to blame his father for. After all, in episode 8, we see how Grandpa disregards his former rule of primogeniture, stating that the company will pass on to the most competent person instead. The one who has the most to lose is clearly Yoon-ki, the person who was, up to this moment, supposed to inherit the company by default. This gives him reasonable motive to murder Grandpa Sunyang. And what better way to do that than kill him off in a questionable car accident? Part 3, The Accident. Now, here's where things start to get complicated. Remember how in episode 1, Lee Hae-in barges into the Sunyang family reunion and demands to know the truth about what happened to her son in the accident? This means that Grandpa wasn't the only one who was involved in the accident. It's possible that Grandpa and Do-jun were in the same car, which gave their rivals the perfect opportunity to get rid of both of them at the same time.
꼭 먹고 알 먹고 굿 보고 떡도 먹고 마당 쓸다 동전 줍는다.
Now, who would want to kill Do-jun? Only almost everyone in the Sunyang family. It's clear that by episode 8, Grandpa sees Do-jun as more of a rival than an enemy, someone that he can see himself passing on the company to. But the same can't be said for the rest of the family members. Hwa-young has clearly fallen into Do-jun's trap and is about to face a huge financial downfall. As for her husband, the mayor, he can never be free to make his own decisions as long as he is Do-jun's puppet. While Dong-ki has no reason to personally hate Do-jun, he's perhaps the only one in the family who constantly looks at everyone else as competition. And Do-jun is, of course, the hardest opponent for him to take down. Perhaps a family member who is easy to forget, but might play an enormous role in this twist, is Grandma Sunyang, who made it clear to Grandpa that she only raised his bastard child, Do-jun's father Yoon-ki, to maintain their family reputation. There is no way that Grandma would sit back and allow Do-jun to become the successor of the company that is supposed to pass on to her eldest son. All this points to the fact that the whole Sunyang family colluded together to murder both Do-jun and Grandpa Sunyang in order to ensure their own wealth and status. Part 4, Hyun Woo's death. If you've come this far, well, we're in uncharted territory here. Just like Do Jun's death, it's easy to write off Hyun Woo's death as a product of the decision of the whole family. Or perhaps it was a decision made by a random family member on a whim. After all, to the family, Hyun Woo is just another disposable worker who maybe came too close to finding out the truth. Judging by all logic, this is the explanation that makes the most sense. But if, for a moment, we allow ourselves to make a guess by looking not at the show itself, but at the writers, we might end up with a somewhat outrageous conclusion. If you're familiar with time loop plots, then you should know that at the center of the loop is always something unthinkable, a plot reveal that makes you gasp. For example, in the German sci-fi thriller Dark, Mikkel, the child who goes missing in the present and ends up in the past, turns out to be Yona's father, the man who committed suicide just a few days before Mikkel's disappearance. And for our special reveal here, what could be more shocking than if the Sunyang family member who killed Hyun Woo was actually Do Jun? I know, it sounds crazy. But hear me out here. What if there was actually an accident involving Grandpa and Do Jun, but Do Jun didn't die? Instead, he hid somewhere, preparing for the right moment to exact his revenge on the Sunyang family. Meanwhile, he gave the order to kill Hyun Woo in order to get his hands on the slush fund money, but more importantly to send Hyun Woo's soul back in time into the body of a young Do Jun, thereby ensuring the time loop? As wild as this theory is, it's supported by the earliest synopsis of the show. Song Joong Ki plays a company employee accused of a crime and killed by the owner's son, who wakes up in his killer's body to exact revenge in Reborn Rich. Of course, that synopsis might just be a badly translated mistake. Whatever twists and turns await us in the next half of Reborn Rich, one thing is for sure. We're in for a wild ride. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Bibimbap.